Okay, let's talk about cocaine. Cocaine is one of the world's oldest known drugs. The pure chemical has been abused for over 100 years, yet the cocoa leaves, the original source of cocaine, have been ingested for thousands of years. Cocaine hydrochloride is purified and converted, of course, to a hydrochloride salt. In its crystalline form, it's water soluble. It can be pure if it's not diluted. Typically, it's snorted or given IV. Street names include Coke, Flake, or Blow. When the cocaine gets freebase, you can call it crack, and that extract, it is an extract, it can be smoked as well. The history of cocaine is pretty interesting. Coca-Cola was first created in 1886 by an Atlanta pharmacist named John Pemberton. He modeled his beverage after the then popular French refreshment cola wine, which was made by mixing cocoa leaf extract with Bordeaux wine. In order to avoid liquor regulations, Pemberton chose to mix his cocoa leaf extract with sugar syrup instead of wine. He also added cola nut extract, lending Coca-Cola the second half of its name, as well as an extra jolt of caffeine. Interestingly, the ethanol in the wine acted as a solvent, and the extracted form of cocaine from the cocoa leaves altered the drink's effect. Originally contained 6 milligrams of cocaine per fluid ounce of wine, but Vin Mariani, which was to be exported from France, contained 7.2 milligrams per ounce in order to compete with the higher cocaine content of similar drinks in the US. Needless to say, Coca-Cola is an interesting component of American history. So cocaine has technically two mechanisms of action, but basically it is a sodium channel blocker. So cocaine can come into the sodium channel and basically cause it to close, and this contributes to its local anesthetic effects. Cocaine can also pass the plasma membrane, and then based on charge differences, can actually go into the open sodium channel and block it, producing even more desirable anesthetic effects. So those are the two ways it can kind of produce its physiologic outcome. Cocaine also has an effect on dopamine reuptake. Here you can see cocaine is the yellow bar right here. Excess levels of dopamine can be recycled and kind of put back into the nerve terminal. Cocaine has the ability to block the dopamine reuptake, thus leaving high amounts of dopamine to be available postsynaptically. There are also cocaine binding sites in the brain. When a person smokes or snorts cocaine, it travels quickly to the brain. Although it reaches all areas, it concentrates in some specific areas. These are highlighted with the turquoise kind of sprinkles or dusting. Specifically the VTA, the nucleus accumbens, and the caudate nucleus. The lighter which is a lighter turquoise since the caudate is inside the hemisphere. Cocaine especially concentrates within the reward areas, and cocaine accumulation in such areas such as the caudate can explain some of the other effects such as increased stereotypic behaviors, including pacing, scratching, and nail biting. The pharmacokinetics of cocaine differ in terms of the route of administration. Smoking, specifically the crack version, gives you an onset of effect within 6 to 8 seconds. IV injection, a little bit longer, 10 to 20 seconds. Intranasal sniffing or snorting, 15 to 20 minutes. Oral administration of cocaine, anywhere from half an hour to an hour. And again, the administration route affects the reinforcement of the reward system, as well as organ toxicity. So quicker routes of administration provide a greater addiction potential, and the greatest, of course, occurs with smoking or injection. These metabolites, the cocaine metabolites, can be detected in the urine for anywhere from 2 to 3 days. And then there's a version of speedball, which is a combination of cocaine with an opioid to enhance the preserved high. This is literally the brain on drugs. Cocaine is not good for brains. With the help of radioactive tracer, this PET scan shows a person's brain on cocaine and the area of the brain highlighted in yellow where the cocaine is binding or attaching to itself. The PET scan shows us minute by minute in a time-lapse sequence just how quickly cocaine begins affecting particular areas of the brain. Start in the upper left-hand corner, you can see that 1 minute after cocaine is administered to the subject, nothing pretty much happens. All areas of the brain are normally functioning, but after 3 or 4 minutes, the next scan immediately to the right, we can see some areas starting to turn yellow. These areas are part of a brain structure called the striatum, and this is the main target in the brain bound and activated by cocaine. At the 5 to 8 minute interval, we can see that cocaine is affecting a larger area of the brain. After that, the drug's effects begin to wear off. At the 9 to 10 minute point, the high feeling is almost gone, unless, of course, the abuser takes more cocaine. Then the experience is over in about 20 to 30 minutes. Cocaine, of course, has several adverse effects. On the physical side, we can see seizures. Patients that use it quite a bit can have nutritional deficiencies. With all this extra dopamine and catecholamine being available, we can see cardiac arrhythmias. We can see an increased heart rate and increased blood pressure, constricted blood vessels, elevated temperature and dilated pupils are the kind of the physical hallmarks. In terms of psychological effects, addiction, changes in mood and being highly irritable, restlessness, paranoia, hallucinations, and depressions are all pretty common. I really like this slide because it depicts the long-term effects of cocaine, cocaine abuse. Obviously, here's a normal brain. Here's the brain of a cocaine abuser after 10 days, and here's the same brain of that cocaine abuser after 100 days. And notice that it doesn't really return to baseline even after 100 days. And so this just basically recapitulates there is dramatic brain remodeling with these patients, and we really need to work better to make sure that people don't become addicted to these drugs. The withdrawal syndrome after heavy use, there's pretty much 3 stages of cocaine withdrawal. The first 10 to 14 days is a crash. These patients experience intense depression, intense cravings, and are both emotionally and physically exhausted. By around 10 weeks, they experience the quote-unquote withdrawal syndrome. Here they have cravings. Depression is still there. There's kind of a dulled state. And then in this case, relapses are quite strong. And then for the indefinite component, there's moderate cravings triggered by social and physical cues as to maybe where they initially took the cocaine and how they took it and who they were with, and occasional bouts of depression. Unfortunately, there's really no therapeutic strategies for the treatment of cocaine abuse disorder.